Hello, I'm Iridium the Hedgehog, and I reached the maximum amount of money in Stardew Valley. You may be seeing a 0 on my screen, but I promise, there's an amazing story here. After my first video, which was well received by you all, thanks, I decided to make one last video about Stardew Valley. Even though the game is not as popular as it used to be on YouTube, I thought and thought about it, and remembered a video from Waligug that I really enjoyed. It was about a guy who made 81 million in just 1 year in Stardew Valley, an incredible achievement. That inspired me to do something related to that, but honestly, I could not compete with that. I'm not fast, as you can see from my upload schedule, so that is a no. But I thought about something else. Maybe I could reach the money cap in the game. With little to no research, I learned that this big value here is the maximum amount of money you can earn in Stardew Valley. It is an integer, and it comes from a mathematical thing that I really don't understand. I may not be really good at math, but one thing that I learned is that if you surpass this number, that is, if you overflow it, your money becomes 0. So I thought this concept was pretty neat for a new video, and that is the beginning of my pain. But maybe, just maybe, someone else had already done a video about this and made this challenge. But for my surprise, nobody did. Meaning, I could farm those views. But at what cost? But still, I did it. And after 46 in-game years, around 600 hours of gameplay, 3 months of my life, my entire SSD space, and unnecessary game knowledge to any healthy person, I finally achieved this. I am the Hedgehog, and in this video, I'll tell you how I broke Stardew Valley with no glitches, mods or exploits, just raw gameplay and a concerning amount of dedication. The concept was set. I needed to get more than 2 billion, but that raises the question, how does one get 2 billion in Stardew Valley in the first place? Remember, we are not just trying to get rich, we are talking about pesos, Zuckerberg levels of wealth. That is why we need to really discuss the strategy we are going to use to earn this money. So, let's see how we should approach this. If you watched my first video, you may be tempted to think that I would go to the classic ancient fruit wine strategy. This strategy is pretty straightforward and simple. You harvest ancient fruit, put ancient fruit in kegs, collect ancient fruit wine, and profit. But I decided to go a different route this time. Don't get me wrong. Ancient fruit wine is still a consistent way to earn money in the game, but this strategy is only consistent if we are talking about millions and not billions, which is our challenge. We need to transform our nice little farm into a mass-producing money machine. That's why there are a lot of strategies to use in the late game of Stardew Valley to achieve that, but I'll share my perspective on a couple of them to complete this challenge. First option I thought of was the Mystic Tree strategy. This consists of planting a mystic tree and placing heavy tappers on it. It produces mystic syrup every 3 days, and they are quite profitable. But the problem is that getting ingredients to make just one sapling would need you to wait to a lot of trees to grow, and you would need to do a lot of deforestation, so that's really not worth my time. That's why I ignored this strategy. Next one is wine. Wine is profitable, as I said before. The only problem with this strategy is that it uses a really boring cycle. You need to harvest the fruit, place it on the keg, collect the wine, and harvest the fruit, place it on the keg, collect the wine. It's too much pain to do. You have to think a lot when you're doing wine, so you can't just shut your brain off and repeat this activity. One of my biggest points here is that you really need to stop thinking and repeat the same task over and over to print money in this game. Wine provides great money, but it is too annoying of a task and requires a lot of brain power. There are other strategies, but they have pros and cons. So let me talk about my choice. The strategy I decided to be the greatest of them all. Diamonds. And I'm not talking about these type of diamonds. I'm talking about these ones. Basically, I chose crystallarians filled with diamonds. Now, let me explain why. First off, crystallarians look great. Look at this wonderful piece of art. Truly marvelous. They not only look great, but they are great as they look. They also have a satisfying sound when used. Jokes aside, they are a great choice for this challenge, and I will explain why. Crystallarians infinitely duplicate gems in X amount of days. The amount of days depend on the gem you set up. The gem I chose, as I said before, were diamonds, and they reproduce every 5 days. Diamonds get you around 750 per unit. Combine it with the gemologist profession, ISQ get with mining level 10, and you get 30% more when selling gems. And now diamonds are sold for 974 G per unit. The reason was sold by this strategy is because you don't need to feed the crystallarian. Like the kegs with the fruits, they work forever without worries, meaning we can just take the diamonds and wait 5 days. You also don't need to wait for anything to grow, like the trees or the ancient fruit. It's a simple process of taking the diamonds and going to sleep. Still, you could argue that there are better ways to earn money in this game, and I should use wine or animals or anything like that. But my answer to you folks is no. So diamonds it is. Now, the plan is to get a bunch of diamonds and get richer and richer every day. But let me show you how I set up this ridiculous operation. We need diamonds, I made that clear. That's obvious. How many diamonds though? Please ChatGPT, do this calc for me, yeah, oh my lord. We need approximately 2,307,690 diamonds. If you can tell, this is a lot of diamonds in this game, so that will be a problem. But before talking about diamonds, we need to learn about the crystallarians and how to get them. Without the crystallarians, we can't multiply the diamonds we already have. So let's learn more about the crystallarians. For those of you who are not aware, this is the crafting recipe for one crystallarian. They are costly. We can get 99 stones easily. Just buy them from Robin and that will do the trick. But battery packs, gold bars and Iridium bars are way more unforgiving. For instance, I crafted 7,397 crystallarians throughout this journey, which translates to 732,303 stones, 36,985 gold bars, 14,794 Iridium bars, and 7,397 battery packs. And as you can see, I needed to focus my attention on getting these ingredients in large amounts. Without the crystallarians, I can't even begin to think about the diamonds. So let's see how we can get these ingredients. Starting with the batteries, which may not look like it, but they're the most annoying of the three. It requires a lot of waiting and preparation, and when you're playing casually, we can get batteries from lightning rods. The problem with these bad boys is that they are completely unreliable for our challenge. Lightning rods produces batteries for every thunder, which is already rare on its own, but not every lightning rod will produce a battery. That's why I can't really rely on luck and in this piece of garbage. Then, our best option is the solar panel. You get the solar panel recipe by doing the island ingredient special order from Caroline. With the recipe in hand, we need 5 iron bars, 5 gold bars, and 10 refined quartz. And that means we need even more resources. Let's focus on the refined quartz for example. You get refined quartz by melting quartz in the furnace. You can get the natural quartz in many ways. I did not know the best way until now, let me teach you about that. My first plan was to get a bunch of crap pots, produce junk, and recycle them. When you recycle the junk, you have a small chance to get the refined quartz directly. But spoiler, this method seems to be pretty useful, but it is actually a horror show, so don't do it please. Crap pots are already a piece of garbage of their own, and they don't even help you to get the quartz we need. My second method was mining, but it seemed unreliable because it takes too much time and the quartz we get is not even enough. But ironically enough, the best method to obtain quartz I found was to use crystallarians. I had some crystallarians before planning this challenge and placed the quartz on them. That is why I love crystallarians, I told you before. Crystallarians actually multiply the quartz every 7 in-game hours. So I could easily go AFK, collect the quartz, and burn them all in heavy furnaces. So that is done. We can get how many refined quartz we need. Now, let's talk about the iron bars. This is actually pretty easy because Clint actually sells iron ore for a tangible price. We can also mine it, and just melt them down in the furnaces, and we are good to go. On the contrary, gold ore is our biggest hurdle, and I really needed to think about how to get gold because we need gold for both the solar panels and the crystallarians. But we have a big problem. Take some look at my calculations. Knowing we need 5 gold ores for 1 gold bar, if we just buy gold ores from Clint, 1 gold bar would cost 3,750 G, and based on the number of solar panels I crafted, I know we need 1,725 gold bars just for them. Sum that up with the gold bars of the crystallarians and we would need 38,710 gold bars for this project. If we multiply this number for the price that Clint sells each gold bar for, we would need 145,162,500. Remember, I want to get richer and not go bankrupt. So that is why I needed another way, but believe me, this would change everything. One of the things that made me sane when doing this challenge is that for the most part, I could be AFK, just like the quartz segment I told you about. The same goes for gold bars. There's a way to get gold which I shared through YouTube Shorts, but if you didn't see that video, let me explain it to you. We can buy gold ore from Clint to accelerate our little project, but as we discussed, we should not just rely on that. So do not fear, because I present to you one of my favorite Stardew Valley contraptions. The Deconstructor. The Deconstructor destroys crafted items, but salvages the most valuable material. For example, this is how you craft a mega bomb. This is its most valuable resource for crafting. If I place the mega bomb inside the Deconstructor, we get the 4 gold ore back. Awesome machine. How do we get that? Sadly, we can only get it from the Keys Walnut room. This is a place made by a small alien and we have tasks to do weekly. By completing these tasks, we get key gems, and for 20 key gems, we can buy our fantastic machine. Yeah, great Ariel, but how the heck will this help us? Let me tell you a story now. Me Willy. Willy is just a fisherman from Pelican Town. A nice dude, by the way. He loves fishing, obviously, and happens to sell stuff. Fishing rods, bait, even food. He also sells fishing tackles. And one of these fishing tackles is the treasure hunter. It helps us find treasure chests while fishing, but funnily enough, it contains a single little pixel of gold, and it is made with 2 gold bars. Do you see where I'm going? If we place a treasure hunter tackle inside a Deconstructor, we get 2 gold bars. One treasure hunter is sold for 750, meaning each gold bar is 10 times cheaper than Clint's.
That's why he's the GOAT!
And now things seem to be feasible. Well, the only thing we need now is more Deconstructors, but that is no problem. We can just leap through the weeks and use some quests to earn the key gems. We accumulate the gems and buy even more Deconstructors. Deconstructors take 21 seconds to produce 2 gold bars with this strat. The more Deconstructors we have, the more gold we produce. But there is a small catch. Fishing tackles don't stack like diamonds. So I initially placed chests in strategic points to store the treasure hunters I bought, and then crafted hoppers, which could both store some tackles and automatically initiate the Deconstructors. Sadly, they're not completely automatic, because I needed to right click them, but to click every 21 seconds is basically what I did for a long time. And I used the beach as my gold producing machine. I could just watch a brain rot video and then collect the gold. I needed to go AFK, buy more tackles and right click here and there, but compared to buying ores or trying to mine all the gold I needed, this in comparison was a lifesaver strategy. That is why Willy was undoubtedly a big carry on this project. Thank you, Willy. Also, it is important to mention that I use the Deconstructor in many ways to help our challenge. For example, you can get Iridium bars with sprinklers you get on the Skull Cavern, stones you can get with staircases from the Desert Crater, and even iron bars with spinners, another fishing tackle. Overall, Deconstructors are OP and wonderful to get gold, but now that we struck gold, we can talk about solar panels again. But that is why I have a question for you.
Could covering the desert with solar panels solve our energy problems for good?
Yes, it would, and I done it. With the gold I got from the Deconstructors, the refined quartz of the Crystallarians, and the iron I bought, I can craft as many solar panels I want. After crafting 345 solar panels, this is how the Calico Desert looks like now. But why the desert? Differently from lightning rods, solar panels are awesome and produce battery packs every 5 sunny days. I don't think myself as really smart, but one thing I know about the desert is that they have sunny days. Many sunny days. Finally, I made the gold ore factory, and now I can get as many batteries as I want in the desert. The stone is easy enough to get. It's just a matter of time and patience to get the right amount of these resources. The good thing that happened is that while we were trying to get the ingredients to the solar panels, we also happened to find strategies to get the ingredients for the Crystallarians. But there is only one thing we need to get it manually, and that is Iridium. So let's talk about that. I used around 14,794 Iridium bars to craft Crystallarians. Same to gold, each Iridium bar costs 5 Iridium ores. So, in total, we need around 74,000 Iridium ores. But actually, this was pretty enjoyable because I like mining this game, and with a few strategies, we can get a lot of Iridium. I also made YouTube shorts on how to get a lot of Iridium, but let me share my fundamentals again, but in more detail. First off, mine only on lucky days. Check it on the TV with the fortune teller. Bring food for buffs, health and energy. Also bring explosives. The best ones are the mega bombs and the usage of the master slingshot with explosive ammo. You can either craft the mega bombs or the explosive ammo, or you can buy them. I prefer to buy because it's easier. You can buy the mega bombs with the dwarf and can buy the explosive ammo in the Adventurers Guild. Then get staircases. You can get those from the desert trader every Sunday for 1 jod, and for our convenience, we can multiply jod with the Crystallarians. If you are really late in the game, and if you have them, use the buffs from these statues, the dwarf statue and the statue of blessings. They are pretty good. If you are playing on desktop, you can also animation cancel. I learned it from this video made by Waligug, and I'm not kidding. For a comparison, here's me chopping a tree with and without animation cancelling. This can be time saving, you can check it out later. And that's it. If you combine these strategies and practice a lot, you can get more Iridium than you think. Let's do a replay analysis real quick, and let's see how Ariel from the past does it. First, check luck on TV, remember to organize your inventory with the items I told you, and go to the Calico Desert fast. If you don't have the obelisk like me, you can wait for the bus or get desert totems. After that, go to the Skull Cavern. Each get your buffs and staircase down until you see big Iridium veins. You can use the slingshot on enemies or walls close to the veins. Get the Iridium and staircase down again. Get more Iridiums, staircase, and do that until you pass out at 2 AM. That is how many ores I get, but remember, as you practice, the better you get. Okay, I told you how I got lots of gold, Iridium and batteries. We can also buy resources when needed. That is the reason that I had a wide production in Ginger Island to deal with the costs from this project, granting me 2 to 4 million each week. So I would buy resources when needed and alleviate the costs with this production. I would buy things like stones, gold ore, coal, wood and more. Yeah. I almost forgot, you can also get Iridium ore and a prismatic shard every day from these 2 cat statues. One you get by making Gramps proud, and the other one you need to reach perfection in the game. But I really think I won't need them, but I'll keep getting the loot, who knows.
Foreshadowing is a narrative device.
And okay, that is a wrap. I told you about the resources. Now I need to teach you logistics. Yeah, we got Crystallarians and resources, but how are we going to farm the diamonds? Each Stardew Valley day takes 14 minutes in real life. so it is important to get the most of our day collecting diamonds. I'll tell you how I plan this out for efficiency. You know, one thing I love in video games is that for some reason many games have a bigger house inside than outside. So that must imply that the ones who made the house must be some kind of wizards of the space or something, I don't know. Whatever that is, let me introduce you to Robin, the wizard from this analogy. Since we have to collect diamonds with efficiency, we can just place the crystallarians around randomly. That is why we are going to make sheds with Robin and then make an upgrade. Each big shed can hold up to 137 crystallarians. If I were to place these crystallarians normally, it would take too much space. So I did the shed project. What was the shed project, you ask me? Well, this consisted of me waking up, invading Robin's home early in the morning, waiting for her to be exactly here to spam click, open her shop and ask her to do her magic in my form. That is, build sheds. I also had to wait for her to build the shed, only to do the same thing again, asking for her for an upgrade of the same building. And then I would wait her to build the upgrade, to ask her again to build again another shed. I repeated this 46 times. I had to turn my cute little farm with animals, plants, and things that make men generally happy into a mass production factory of diamonds with a grey sky, machines, and unhappy people. Because that's how the great players do it. I sold all my barns, cubes, animals, and every distraction to get the bag. But for some reason my wife wasn't happy with me just because I was trying to get billionaire, just because I was crumbling my soul into pieces, and I was ignoring her for years. How dare she? Anyways, we went to couples therapy and I discovered she loves diamonds too. It was a match made from heaven all the time. So with that out of the way, let me talk about today's sponsor, myself. When you finish the video, you can download my save file and check the form. Make sure to play Stardew on the PC, use the link in the description, download the save, press this command, type this, go to the Stardew Valley folder, click on the saves folder, paste the file here, start your game and enjoy. The only thing you need is to subscribe and leave a like and share and comment and anyway, yeah, so we organized the farm and we got the shed filled with the crystallarians, so I just have to collect the diamonds, right? Almost. We just need to make sure to do it quickly, so we need speed. To get movement speed in Stardew, the easiest ways are both food and coffee. We can easily get triple shot espressos made with 3 coffees. We can buy the recipe from Gus and buy the coffee needed from it too. Easy. Our main food source will be the spice eel. Can get it from trades with the desert trader for 1 ruby. And I know the right way to infinitely get ruby without even thinking about it. Another important thing that I used to get diamonds faster was the blessing of speed. We can get this from the statue of blessings, which is pretty hard to make by the way. Touching the statue gives the player a unique blessing every day. So I slept, used the statue until I saw the blessing of speed. If that didn't happen, I would sleep again. With these movement speed bonuses, we can collect the diamonds even faster. Here's a comparison with and without the buffs. Okay, we are fast enough, but to make things even more satisfying, I decided to only sell the diamonds when I get them all. That is why I made the Plaza. The Plaza contains 33 big chests that I will fill up with diamonds. I think that's pretty satisfying. Anyway, the only thing we need to do is
Do it!
that will be a piece of cake, of course. So, for a test, let's see how many diamonds I can get in a day. I got around 4,500 diamonds in 14 minutes, and I can fill a chest in around 5 to 7 hours. We are so done. Just a diamond, right? 2 million times, right?
諦めんなよ諦めんなお前どうしてそこでやめるんだそこで絶対やってみろ 必ず目標達成できる。だからこそ、Never give up!
Are you winning, son?
Patutusan naman tato. O palit ko ng barangay ko naman ng kay turo naman. Turo naman tayo ng patapang tao kayo.
Chicken jockey!
Just need to sell the diamonds. Honestly, this is easy compared to what we went through. And I done it. And the profits are bugged. This is not an edit. This is me clicking through the pages of what I just shipped. And oh no, the game didn't break. Where's the zero? I am joking. I was prepared for that. Do you remember the cat statues? I knew they would come in handy. And this is what 40 years of cat statues do to a man. And it's time to give my final shot. Finally, it's definitely over. We broke Stardew Valley. I can have some peace of mind. But thank you who watched all this. Thanks Stardew Valley for every moment. But it's my time to say goodbye. Let me just press this real quick. Wait, who the heck is that?
Ahmed Mohsin